everyone, and welcome to our today's compact webinar from the MiniBA Tech Academy. I see many people are still in the process of joining. Maybe we give them one more minute so they all start together with us. Okay, in between, let's maybe start with my introduction and the introduction of today's event. My name is Michael Meyer. I'm a training manager at the MiniBA Academy, which 4 years ago we have founded. I was part of the founding group. I really appreciate to work in this team today. And today I'm not your trainer, but your host. And during the hosting, I will be available in the background and support you with questions and answers and feedbacks. But you probably remember from your invitation, we have mentioned that we expect you to communicate with us. And at the same time, you probably realize all your microphones are muted. This is by purpose, so we can concentrate on our speaker today fully. But on the bottom of the tool you see, which is GoToWebinar, you will find the communication section where we would be happy to receive your questions. Yeah, I still see people joining, quite a few people. Happy to see that there's so many joining us from many different parts of the world. Okay, but let's maybe not spend too much time waiting. So thank you very much for joining. I guess you're not here to listen to me, so I guess we should welcome our speaker. Thorsten, welcome for joining us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction, Michael. As I heard, there's a lot of people from all over the world, so I'm very happy to hear that, and that there's quite a big international audience. Yes. From my side, also welcome, good morning and good afternoon to everybody in their time zones. My name is Thorsten Vollborn, and I'm a product manager here at MiniBA Intec for foreign body inspection. Actually, I must say that before I started in this company myself, I wasn't aware of the fact how complex it is actually to produce safe food products. And in respect to this, I would like today to talk about the subject of physical contaminations, and more specific about the question how you and your customers can benefit from taking care of those in their production.
Thank you for joining us today, Thorsten.
When I say production, I'm talking about any kind of product. Even though this presentation usually takes food production as an example, the advantages also, of course, apply to other industries. In general, we follow a common goal here, to reach the maximum quality and safety of our products. Nevertheless, if you see the numbers, in 2019, more than 4,500 serious food product recalls took place in the US and in the European Union. And analyzers show that up to 1/3 of these are induced by so-called foreign bodies. Those contaminations might result in risks for the users or consumers. And of course, product recalls in the end can damage our business dramatically. So in today's webinar, we would like to go a bit more into the detail of this topic. I will start with some general introduction of the term foreign body, followed by a brief overview of technical methods and the limits in the detection and elimination of such contaminations. I hope in the end of this presentation, you have gained an understanding of the important factors in choosing a detector. And we will conclude this with the benefits for you and your company. Please write down any questions in the chat. We will then try to answer those in the Q&A session at the end. So what is actually a foreign body? For our purpose of today, these I would say are the most suitable explanations. A foreign body, or sometimes foreign object or foreign matter, is a physical contamination, which is not product inherent. It might block or destroy your machine. It can impact your product quality, or in worst case, pose even a risk to users or consumers. And although there is no clear definition of the term in the industry, most will end up in the same meaning actually, that this is something which does not belong there. In general, we are talking about all kinds of materials here, so like metal, plastic, glass, or different kind of ceramics, stone, or minerals. A lot of these are connected to inadvertent contaminations where personnel lose like a pen or parts of equipment such as bolts or rest of maintenance such as cut wires, welding material ends up in the product finally. Very often also external matter like bones, seeds or shells are defined as foreign bodies as well. Depends on the customer, on the definition of the product, and finally its impact on the quality. The permitted dimension of such objects are usually to be defined by our customers. So this table here is just an example from one EURS of a big supermarket chain. As you can see, their definition is not only based on the material they expect to be found, but also on the height of the product above the conveyor. This is an example for metal detection here. And for hard cases, they allow, for example, a special level 2 sensitivity with increased object dimensions. You see this here in the bottom right corner, up to 4.5 millimeters. And they are aware of the so-called product effect, which is there in metal detection. I will come to that a bit later. And its impact to the sensitivity. So it's always by the customer to define this. And then later we will see in the technology section to talk about the product effect again. In case of a food production, the producer is obliged to follow the so-called HACCP concept, so the hazard analysis and critical control points. This includes an analysis on potential inlets for foreign bodies and the decision of critical control points to detect and eliminate these. I would like to mention here that, of course, this is not only valid for food again. Other examples are the tire industry, where it is very important to detect foreign bodies in the raw material to prevent the tires from bursting afterwards, or protect sawmills, for example, by an inspection of the incoming trees for nails. There's many examples outside the food industry where inspection for foreign bodies is also a matter of quality and safety as well. Mostly this is mentioned as machine protection. Nevertheless, foreign bodies sometimes stay hidden to the really end, where the consumers then finally find them. So this is here on the left, you see the European statistics on food product recalls. We can see an increase of the serious incidents since 2015. In general, it happens in all fields of food production, but there is a segment like cereals or fruits where the food is less processed between the raw income and the packaged outcome. So these together with meat and poultry are the ones with the biggest impact on the recall statistics. Of course, the food production in general also increased year by year too, and the tracking of recalls became better. But this also means that with the media nowadays, consumers are way more aware of these risks, and the impact to a brand became even more significant. So how do we now get rid of these foreign objects? First of all, foreign bodies can be found manually, of course, but obviously this takes a lot of manpower. Sieves and magnets are a very reliable method, but not applicable for packaged food or only for incoming bulk material. And where sieves are limited to the size, magnets can only filter out ferromagnetic metals. The ones below, in the really below part here, I would say technologies which are very specific to certain applications, and most of them, like the spectral imaging or the ultrasound, terahertz imaging, these kind of things, are most limited, especially by the penetration depth or resolution, and that's why I don't count them to the state of the art in foreign body detection. The really leading technology is the metal detectors and the X-ray systems. I don't want to go too much into the detail of the technology itself today. If you're interested, please check our online white papers. I will just give a brief introduction in the technology in general. So anyway, how does a metal detector now find metal? So a typical metal detector is based on a transmitter and a receiver coil. The receiver coil has actually two windings symmetrically installed to the transmitter, and between those we generate an electromagnetic field which is balanced. If now a clean product goes through this metal detector, the conductivity itself produces a more or less change of the field, which is measured like a meter and saved. You could say the effect of this product in its clean state is the product effect. If there is a metal in the moving product now, like a nut, for example, this will additionally impact the field even more, and the detector will react on this. So afterwards, using, for example, conveyors, we can then reject the products from the line. In Intec, we differentiate these coils in rectangular and round coils. For the application, it depends. We see here on the right coils for machine protection, the so-called Sikus line, and the Vistus on conveyors, for example, for end-of-line checks. We also have round Vistus coils available for bike products in freefall applications, or as well to inspect pump products such as ground meat or liquids. So now let's talk about X-ray. What is the working principle of X-ray inspection? Most of you know this maybe from the medicine. Here it's a bit different. So we have an X-ray emitting source sending the beam through a moving product on the belt. Below the belt there is a detector sending the beam which was influenced by the product. So this way the absorption is used to generate a grayscale image of the product. You could say the higher the density of the material, the darker the picture gets. It is similar to medicine, but the difference is that we take it line by line while the product is moving. In medicine, usually when you go to the doctor, the full picture is captured at once. Metal parts, of course, become visible because of their high density, and the product can be rejected though. This here on the right is, for example, a yogurt with cereals in an extra compartment. You can see these metal spheres, hopefully, in the red box. Obviously, you would also see if there is something missing in the compartments, but more for this later. So, which kind of materials actually we can work with here? So, in X-ray as well as metal detection, we can detect ferromagnetic metals. We can detect the non-ferromagnetic metals, light metals like aluminium and stainless steel. In addition, for X-ray, there is glass. Also, glass-in-glass detection is a typical term here. We have stones and minerals, ceramics, as I said, and some plastics. There is like a rough rule is as soon as the material sinks into water, it will probably also be detected by the X-ray. In Intec, we offer also a wide range of X-ray systems, starting from the most compact entry version, so-called Dilight, over this on here on the left, over the flexible Diamond series, actually behind me here, up to the side shooter machines for upright containers. Why side shooters? I mean, it can happen sometimes that foreign bodies hide next to walls or bottoms in cans and bottles. It's always better to look from the side through the upright containers, also because of the way they are transported over chains. And in order to eliminate also perspective uncertainties, the side shooters can also be equipped with an additional X-ray beam to have a different angle. And this becomes actually very important also for the glass-in-glass inspection. If you think, for example, about baby food, I mean, being a father of 2 children myself, I don't want to imagine feeding glass splinters to my child, actually, or even finding metal in a nicely shaped gin bottle. This would be even dramatically, I must say. Again, looking at the recall statistics from a different perspective, many years ago, it was almost impossible to detect glass in food production. The numbers from this study here on the left side in UK from 2007 show a high number of incidents with glass. So the statistics from today on the right side show the materials are more equally distributed in the recall nowadays. And this is definitely not yet a proof of the success of the X-ray in the industry, but we can state that glass and plastic are to be considered equally to metal in risk analysis of the HACCP in food production. But of course, every technology also has its difficulties, and I think it's just important to understand these and to be aware of this. I'm very confident to say that metal detectors and X-ray systems are very reliable technologies, especially the metal detectors. I mean, we have products running for 20 years and more without any failures. But for the installation, it is important to take care of a few things, of a few rules. You need to have a very static ground. There should be no vibrations. We don't want to have any electrical interferences. So the electrical system should be analyzed for that and checked if problems coming up. One thing which sometimes leads to problems is one-sided heating also. As I explained before, it is a symmetrically balanced system. So a metal detector should not be close to a window or outside without any sun protection. Yeah, but on the positive side, it's a highly sensitive sensor for metal, but one should follow these rules to keep it reliable. In any way, such a sensor has to be calibrated regularly, as any kind of sensor we have, and we provide a bunch of different tools for this: test cards and spheres and sticks and these kind of things to have it easy to do these regular calibrations. I want to come back to the product effect, which I mentioned before. Also, this is something, it is not really a problem of the metal detector itself, but it's part of the struggle to reach the highest sensitivity. So if you just imagine some dry salt going through a metal detector, you will not see any signal in the metal detector. If you take clean water, distilled water, you will also not have any signal. As soon as you put the salt into the water, you mix it, you will get highly conductive liquids, and you will have a strong signal in the metal detector. But don't worry, I mean, we have, in this case, we have the Vistus, which is based on multi-frequency technology. The multi-frequency enables us to teach and learn different kind of products with different product effects. And the influence of the product effect is minimized in a way in order to reach the highest production sensitivity in the end. So you can see here that most of the influence factors for the X-ray are on the product side. So X-ray is not really influenced by the environmental conditions that much as metal detectors. Sometimes, if it comes to very noisy products like cereals or fruit cubes, here there's an example on the bottom left. The sensitivity might suffer from this, especially when there's changes and the product itself is moving and changing sometimes. And also one thing to mention is the atomic mass. Before I said it was about the density, as well as sometimes when you have stone, glass, and polymers, it's getting very tricky because the compositions they are compositions of several materials actually. It is then not only the density but also the atomic mass of the composites influencing the result in the end. I mean, in any way, product tests are essential to check the sensitivity in combination with the current product. This is valid for metal detector as well as for the X-ray. But here, I mean, can we really test all stone compositions which are expected from a field, for example, in a bag of a potato? Obviously not. So there is still this little uncertainty in the end left nowadays. So once evaluated by product tests, both X-ray and metal detectors are definitely very reliable solutions for the job of foreign body detection. It is important to decide already in the beginning, actually, what the need is and might be in the future products. So let's say if you have a conveyor or if you need a free fall application. I mean, this is usually a clear indication to have a metal detector. If you have a metallic foil packaging, this is usually going in the direction of X-ray. As I said, glass, stones, and other non-metal metals are definitely, if this is important, you will also go in the direction of X-ray. And the product effect, or especially if it comes to changes in the product effect, in the conductivity of the product during the production, this might be also a pro for the X-ray in this case. Nevertheless, we support our customers with our professionals in this process to find the right solution, and right solution not always that means to sell the most expensive unit. Metal detectors definitely are very reliable and usually a very good solution for most of our customers. So one thing we didn't talk about yet is the so-called product handling and problems which can come with this. Even with a perfect detector, we need to make sure that the product is properly rejected. So how can we actually monitor the inspection system itself? Obviously by using even more technology. Our conveyors can be equipped with several kinds of light barriers and sensors to ensure that the product to be is really rejected and ends up in the bin. Sometimes the product can get stuck in the reject process and fall back on the line. So therefore, there is a thing called good and bad flow monitoring in combination, which can help for this. And even if the bin gets too full, for example, a sensor can tell this. The bin itself can be locked either manually or electronically, because sometimes people in the production tend to take products out of the bin and put them back on the line. Not a good idea. By mechanical covers or, for example, electronically tracking the number of passing products, this can also be controlled. So now that we have understood, hopefully, the meaning of foreign bodies in general and the technology to detect and reject them, let's have a look at the benefits. Actually, I was curious myself to understand what does recall mean for a company. And I found this survey from Ernst & Young together with many companies of the Consumer Brand Association in the US. And the authors state that more than 50% of the companies suffer from a recall cost more than $10 million. In detail, this is coming from customer reimbursement, you see this here on the right, product disposal, or other business interruptions. But the latter does not only mean the time to get production back, but also the time to get the customers to buy the product again. So I think it's valid to say foreign body detection protects your business. Next, we have the protection of the consumers and the environment. As I said before, we have around up to 5% of the foreign bodies which are found can cause really severe injuries. The definition is objects, hard and sharp objects larger than 7 millimeters are considered physical hazards in food. And if it gets smaller than 7 millimeters, they are considered as a hazard only for risk groups like infants or older people. Next, more than 7 billion kilograms of food were disposed just for recalls in 2015 to 2016. And if we see that we can have an X-ray, which is also going to the quality issues here on the right side, you see this. Think about quality checks where you have check the completeness of a box of chocolate, or you check the fill level of a bottle. This, in the end, giving back to the production will definitely reduce waste. In this case, we have the false rejects, which can be perfectly set by the multi-frequency Vistus metal detectors. And yeah, so I think in the end, we also can prevent some food waste here, and we will protect the environment with these devices. This is something, of course, sometimes it is a bit annoying, but there is a lot of standards, industry standards, and here on the left side, it doesn't matter if you're coming from the region-specific standards, like the IFS or whatever, Canada GAP or something like this, or on the other side, you have customers who directly give you their own standards they expect. They will definitely ask for a metal detector or for a foreign body inspection, so you can definitely be compliant with these standards. And the last is also increase your productivity with this. I mean, if you think about beginning of the line, you can protect your equipment and prevent downtime with it. End of line, the metal detector or the X-ray usually is really at the end of line, so the whole production already runs through. You will get, by the foreign body inspection, by the quality functions, you will get also an insight in the quality of your whole production. And this can be used to increase the productivity. If you think about like this vertical and horizontal communication between the machines, that we have standard interfaces for this, as well as we have software, SBC at Enterprise, to collect the statistical data in the best way. So let me summarize our today's learnings. How to benefit actually from foreign body detection in your production. First, get in contact with us. We have a lot of professionals, we have highly committed people who like to help you to prevent problems with foreign bodies. As we heard, metal detectors are very good for highest metal sensitivity. An X-ray usually comes into the game where there is metallic packaging or we search for non-metal foreign bodies. Monitoring can also help to increase the productivity of the whole line to prevent downtime and other problems. And as I said, I think we can reduce some product waste with this. Also, foreign body detection, I see it always as a kind of an insurance for a business, which you can protect your brand in the end. And hopefully, in terms of safety, if you have a proper foreign body inspection installed, I think we in the end can make the daily life safer. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm open for some questions.
Thank you very much, Thorsten. Perfect timing, we're perfectly in time. And I have received some questions, but maybe we always start one important statement. If you have questions which we haven't answered yet, maybe due to lack of time, or maybe the questions sometimes need very long answers, we will make sure all of you get an answer at latest via email. And same for you, if you come up with questions which you just have after this event, feel free to contact us for any more questions. Just use the Academy address, which is academy@minibea-intech.com, or call us, you will get the details later. One question which came up, Thorsten, is you have mentioned in your presentation also the different kinds of metals, and the customer was asking, why does it mean that metal detectors are more performing for aluminium? How does this happen? Maybe can you summarize this?
Yeah, let me go back to the slide. I think we were talking about this slide though. Yes, it's true. I mean, we saw this picture of the different densities, and of course, it can sometimes happen that the density of a light material like the aluminium is so low, and the product has a very high density that it gets hard to be found in the product for the X-ray. So that's why in this case the metal detector is better to sense the aluminium in the product.
Thank you very much, Thorsten, for this question. One question which I received was, you mentioned the X-ray technology, and people know X-ray from the medicine, for example, when they go to the doctor. And the question basically is asking, does the X-ray system anyhow influence the produced products? And I guess the customer is afraid that the X-ray radiation might change the how do you say, the shape, or not the shape, but the structure of the product, or maybe its safety.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think it's a very topic which exists already for a long time. To the best of my knowledge, I mean, we didn't do any kind of tests where we tested the cells in the end and these kind of things, but to the best of my knowledge, there is definitely no influence between the X-ray, the electromagnetic waves on the food, so that it has any kind of negative impact on the human body later. Yeah, I mean, we have to differentiate between the different kinds of radiation we are talking about. X-ray is not the same as we have whatever alpha, beta, gamma radiation. This is a complete different thing. So I would say X-ray is as safe as also the metal detector. We build our systems in a way that there is just a very, very, very small amount of X-ray coming out of the system, which will be not more than the X-ray you get or the radiation you get every year from the universe, from the sky, let's say. We do the most to protect this. The machines are certified for this, and as I said, to the best of my knowledge, there's nothing which can influence the food itself.
Thank you very much, Thorsten. Maybe a question I will ask for myself in general. I received many questions like, hey, can we detect plastics and frozen meat? Can we detect bones and this? So I received many questions going in this direction. Maybe we can just leave one general statement why it is complicated to give general answers, and maybe repeat the section about the foreign bodies.
Yeah, sometimes how the foreign body material and the material of the product itself works together in X-ray. This can be a complete different thing. You sometimes think it should be the same, but it's actually not. So that's why we always say, let's test the product with the foreign body you want to see. As soon as it comes to the organic materials, as you just mentioned, like bones and these kind of things, density is very low. I mean, most food is made out of water, close to water density. And I mean, if bones are getting very high density and dry, it might be possible. But there's other technologies in development which are maybe better for this in the future.
Thank you very much. What about metal detection? What about products when people ask me, hey, I have a frozen pizza, what sizes do I find?
What sizes can I even in this case, I would say just make tests. It's always better. If it comes to frozen food, this is something where you also have to consider again the product effect. Sometimes if frozen products get stopped in the line, they start to melt a bit. So the product effect of the packaging can influence the metal detection. This is something which has to be considered. But as I said before, metal detectors are very reliable. But it's good to know about these problems to prevent them from the beginning, actually.
Yeah. One question was asked is something like, why do we see bulk solutions for the X-ray industry less represented compared to metal detection? Can you give us some feedback about the imaging problems behind?
I think we do see, of course, bulk applications. I didn't mention it here. We have for the diamond machine, which we see here in the background. We also have a special version which is for bulk food, as long as the bulk food in this case can be transported on a conveyor. But yeah, product handling of bulk food is a bit different. The rejection of bulk food is different, and the image processing. If we talk about free fall applications, this is a complete different story. For X-ray, you can just imagine that capturing a picture of a free-falling bulk product is completely different than if it's going over a conveyor. Yeah.
Thank you very much. One question was about test pieces, test cards. One customer asked me, can I reuse my test cards for metal detection to X-ray? I guess the answer is self-explaining. No, they are specific ones, but maybe can you give us a statement about the different quality of test cards in the world and test pieces? And that maybe we should make sure to have the right testing equipment.
Okay, so in general, yeah, you were completely right. I mean, the cards, the test piece itself are a bit different because even the carrier material of the spheres is usually different for the metal detector test pieces as well as for the X-ray. But if it comes to the spheres and these kind of things. I mean, there's not really clearly defined standards, I would say. But what we do is we take completely care of certifying our test pieces by, for example, providing the spheres which we know that they're exactly okay and they have the right material, the right size, and they are not like magnetized in a way that the signal is super big. So it's like we take care actually with our own processes that these test parts are clean and certified in a proper way.
Yeah. One statement which came up as a question is, will X-ray replace all metal detectors in near future?
No, I wouldn't say so. No, I mean, there is, as I said, the metal detectors are very reliable. They run for a very long time, and if in the production the risk analyzers in the end found that there is no risk of having whatever glass or plastic or something, why you should go to an X-ray? It doesn't make sense actually. Price-wise, even there's a difference, of course, which you can definitely benefit from with the X-ray in the end from also the quality inspection and these kind of things. And as long as you don't change your packaging to a metal packaging, you stay with a normal plastic packaging or whatever paper or something like this. I don't see why this should happen. Actually, there is a huge market for both. So no, I don't think the one will remove the other one from the market at some point.
Thank you very much, Thorsten. One question which came up is more like, do you have a metal detector for this market and this market? I guess it will be difficult to answer for all the specific questions. Would you say there are limitations for markets? Like we cannot deliver a metal detector to this market, or to maybe give it more general questions. I guess we have food, we have pharma, we have tire industry, but are there limitations where we shouldn't go for maybe machine protection?
I mean, definitely we have. If I look at the list, I mean, we as product managers have to do that quite a lot. If I look at the list of markets, actually, I'm always impressed how many markets we are penetrating with our product. Even if we just sell a few in some markets, but we still have customers there. So I would say, in general, there is all the markets. But if it comes to safety, of course, this is an argument. I mean, when we see, for example, free-fall metal detectors, free-fall metal detectors are very often used in environments where there's also explosive environments, yeah, combustible dust, because of the materials going through, very dry, powdery material. So there we have the ATEX certificates, the certification for the European Union. But we always have to see, of course, if we go to other countries, if these kind of certifications are valid there, and if so, we will do that. I mean, I think the safety question in this case, I would put it in this direction. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Thorsten. Maybe not a question about X-ray but metal detection, but about the statistics you have shown. And the question is going like where do you see the growing number of records coming from? I'm not sure if we are able to answer these questions, but maybe if we can look into your statistics again and get a hint about what you see as the trend coming.
I don't see, actually. I wouldn't say that I see a clear trend in this. What I did here is just like trying to look a bit in the past and trying to look a bit in the current situation. And the difference is actually that nowadays the metal, glass, and plastic are quite distributed the same way. This might have different reasons. I mean, there is no proof for this, but it might be the reason, of course, that there is more plastic produced than it was, whatever, 10, 15 years ago. And I mean, if we see what now happens in the media, and we all know about global warming and these kind of things, and microplastic in our oceans and that stuff, maybe food industry at some point will, if they find the right materials for that, they will change from the typical plastic material more in the direction of paper, maybe even more in the direction of glass and these kind of things. That might shift these kind of statistics, but I mean, this will take another 5 to 10 years if you want to analyze it. So I wouldn't say that I see here a clear trend from these numbers.
Thank you very much, Thorsten. Coming slowly to the end of the questions we have open. So I would like to remind the people joining us today, if your questions comes up later, write us an email. But let's start with the last question for today's session. I have 3 of them. X-ray safety. We have discussed during the Q&A about X-ray effects on product, but what about the X-ray safety for operators and producers themselves? Can you give us a general statement about that?
Yeah, we have as I think I mentioned it already, we have the machines are built in a way that there is just a very, very small leakage of X-ray coming out of the machine. And this will be certified, this will be checked by the TÜV or the local organizations, so that it's definitely safe for everybody who's working with the machines. They will not take more radiation as over a full year when they stand back next to the machine as they would have whatever when they just once fly over the Atlantic Ocean. So it's I would say in this term, as long as you follow the rules, don't remove curtains or just open it while whatever blocking any security switches or these kind of things. This is definitely the worst. You shouldn't do that ever. But then the systems are completely safe.
Thank you very much for this. What about the detection result? So if, for example, I have a metal detector today, I have a sensitivity of a specific size, will this sensitivity stay continuous for like 1 year, 5 years, or will there be a wearing? And maybe you can give us a statement for X-ray and metal detection for both.
Okay, I mean, for the metal detector, I think there is not that much change as long as the environmental conditions and the product conditions, the product effect stays the same. For the X-ray, we have the source and the detector get worn after some time. It depends very much on the power we use for the X-ray to go through the product. But this is something, if you have the regular intervals for checking the system, I mean, you have this for your car as well, breaks, they have to be repaired after a few thousand kilometers. The same is here with the X-ray. These parts should be regularly checked and changed. The system is calibrating itself, so you will not really see this in the sensitivity of the system. But at some point, if you don't do anything, then of course you will not have the results you expect. So you have to maintain the system, but then it's actually no problem.
Thank you very much, Thorsten. Asking for your personal opinion, what, from your point of view, do you think or expect as a new trend or the next trends in the foreign body detection markets, especially from a solution provider point of view?
Okay, so for my opinion, what I see in the developments, as well as maybe also in the market and also for competitors, of course, for metal detection, or let's say inspection in general, data is very important nowadays. So we have the systems already in place where we can collect the data from the inspection systems, and you have to consider that an inspection system usually is really at the end of the line. So it can tell you a lot of stories about the production which happened before. So there is a big value behind the data, to collect the data. We offer software for this, and there is a lot of things coming up in the world of IoT and cloud-based solutions to collect these kind of data. So I think this is something which we will have in the future, maybe in the near future, like 5 years, 10 years. This will become a standard. If we think about X-ray, or even like these spectroscopy systems which I'm talking about, in terms of image processing, I think looking at the medicine, there is already X-ray systems in place where you have way better contrast, and sometimes you can even have really a differentiation between the different materials in a product. Not only just seeing this by the density and the grayscale, you can really differentiate between a bone and a meat, for example, or soft tissue. So maybe at some point or hopefully at some point, this technology will get industrial quality in terms of speed for automation. And this is something I'm hoping for, actually, that at some point we can use this in also in food production and other industries.
Thank you very much, Thorsten. Thank you very much for your presentation from my side. Thank you also to the audience for joining us today. Do you allow me to answer the last question, which came up a few times, which is, can we share the recording of today's event? And the question, or the answer to this question, is yes. So if you go on the MiniBA-tech homepage and you go to the webinar section, which you will find there, you can also find all past events we have held, and of course the events for the future. And by this, check out the recording of today's event. You will be welcome to watch it again. So thank you again. Maybe see you soon for the next webinar event, and have a good day.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Goodbye.